Hello guys, right, welcome back to our beginner's guide on HMOs and what you need to do. It's been a little while, but we're going to carry on our video series now. So I just wanted to give you a rough overview of the sort of standards in which you need to adhere to, and I've got a couple of examples and stuff like that. But obviously the government have national standards, which actually our council's got a really good table for, so I won't go over that. But essentially, if you've got what is classed as a large HMO, which is 5 or more people, then you will need a license, which is renewable every 5 years. But I'll come to that. But yeah, you can have a little look on the government website. I won't go over it, and they've got information here like how to apply for licenses, and all that good stuff. But what I wanted to show you is, let me find it, this document here, which is our council's standards for HMOs, which I think is a really good sort of, we can go through this and give you a good overview. They've obviously given an introduction here. This is a table that I would like to show you guys, so you can see whether what you have is a HMO or not. So as an example, if you've got one house rented to a single family, is it a HMO? No. Is a license required? No. Pretty simple stuff. Here is where some people I think are getting a bit confused, and you have to be careful, because if you've got a buy-to-let property and you've got 3 individual friends that want to rent it, that then does turn it into a HMO. Which means you'll need to follow HMO national guidance for it. However, you do not require a HMO license. So it's just something to bear in mind. So if you are doing that, you will need fire doors, etc., and the fire safety standards and all that jazz, which we're going to go over in detail in the next video about fire safety standards. So I'll only briefly skim over it in this one. I think I've got a pretty good video. I'd have to look at it again. I've got a pretty good detailed video that I did a couple of years ago, which I think should still hold the test of time and be evergreen about fire safety standards. But yeah, this is really good. So yeah, interesting little table there. I want to talk about amenity standards and room sizes in HMOs. So you can see that obviously every HMO needs enough heating, adequate fixed heating throughout, and all that sort of stuff. So obviously you're going to be putting in your radiators and stuff like that. It's your basics, and forms part of the HHSRS standards anyway. So yeah, so you'll be covering all of that. That's pretty straightforward. Fire safeties in HMOs. Again, next video we'll be going over that, but you really, really need to be following the LaCourse housing guide. They detail, it depends what type of HMO you have, how many stories the building is, depends on what type of fire system you need, whether you need fire extinguishers and stuff like that. Interestingly though, we here at VCC Homes and us ourselves as investors, and whenever we're doing this for our clients, we have always followed the LaCourse Housing Guide fire safety standard, which is almost like the Bible for fire safety in your HMOs. And an interesting story, we had a client who was doing their own refurb, and they sort of engaged us for lettings. At the time when they were doing their refurb, we sort of told them that you need interlinked fire alarms in all the bedrooms as per the LaCourse guide. They went to the council, and the council put it in writing that they did not need that. This was probably about 3 years ago. Then, once licensing came in, and then the councils were going around checking the fire safety standards of all the HMOs, they came across our client's HMO, did their inspection, said that you needed the fire alarms as per the LaCourse guide. So our clients argued with the council saying, well, you said in writing, da-da-da-da-da. And yeah, they had to lift up floorboards, put in these fire alarms, and it was just a massive disruption to their tenants themselves. Additional cost more money than if they had just done it at the refurb stage. And so that is a prime example why doing things to the guide is always the best, as sometimes you can't. Well, the thing is, if you are in court for manslaughter, your HMO is burnt down, and you said, well, the council told me that was fine. Well, actually, it's not, is it? Because they could tell you that stabbing someone's fine, but it's not. The law is there, and hence the guidance is there. So Like I said, I won't talk any more about fire standards, but you need to make sure that your HMO is up to the required fire safety standards. And then you've got fire smoke detections. You need the right smoke alarm and all that jazz. So when you apply for your license, our council require a fire risk assessment to be carried out by a third party. And again, actually, once the license is issued, the council will actually come out and they would do their own inspections, just to make sure we're up to standards in general about, across all of the HSRSS, fire safety standards and all that sort of jazz. And then obviously this is pretty standard as well. Your gas safety certificates, electrical safety, your electrical installation condition report needs to be there, and all that good stuff. Your EPC. EPC you don't technically need to give out because the landlord pays the bill, but you do need to give it out if you're ever wanting to serve a Section 21 notice, so you should just always give out the EPC. But obviously tenants don't need to know the energy efficiency rating of their property because they're not paying the rent, the bills. Hopefully they pay the rent. It's always good information to give them. But also, moving on, about the property itself, you need to ensure that there is adequate bathroom and toilet facilities, depending on the amount of people that you give. Obviously, if you've got a 5-bed, 5-ensuite HMO, then of course there'll be adequate facilities. But you can see that at a minimum for our council, every 5 persons need 1 bathroom at least and 1 separate toilet. So yeah, there's no actual room size on the size of ensuite that you need to give. So you could have a really small one, so long as it's functional, I presume. But obviously that is not desirable. So give us a bigger ensuite and bathroom facilities as possible. And then that links also into kitchen and cooking facilities. So off the top of my head, you need to make sure that you've got 500 by 500 cupboard spaces for our council at least. You need to have enough worktop space. You need to have enough cooking facilities, sink space to wash up, all that sort of stuff. So, and also for us as well, you do actually need to have a large enough kitchen. I'm not sure where does it say? I think we're probably going down actually. Here it is. So in terms of kitchens, for every 5 people that we have, we need at least a 5 metre squared kitchen. It goes up to 9 metre squared for 6 people. And then that's the kitchen alone. If you've got a diner in there as well, you can see it's more space. So be aware you need to put in enough kitchen amenity standards for your HMO, because also once people live in there, you do need to have big enough kitchens. You do need to have enough space to give people to actually live with the number of people that they're sharing with. So each council will have their own guidance. Please look that up. Speak to your local HMO officer. You can usually find it on the council's website. But yes, you will need to use this. And then also, really importantly, room sizes. You need to have the right room sizes. A 4 metre square room size is not going to be big enough for a single person. You need to have at least 6.51 square metres here in our council for a single person, for a single adult. If you've got a double, like a couple sharing a room, it needs to be 10.22 square metres at a minimum. And then obviously if you've got kitchen facilities within a room, again, single and double, yes, it's all there. So it's so important to have the room sizes at the correct sizes. So I want to show you an example. We've just taken over the management of a property. Let's get to the beginning. And I've looked in this room, and the property is very similar because a lot of Crawley has the same housing stock. So I've gone in here and instantly I've known that this room is too small. So I just want you to take note of this window and this angle here. What I'm going to try and do is show you the equivalent picture of ours here. So you can see we have an identical room. What we've done, as you can see by the pipe in here, is we've had to move this radiator over so we can fit the bed in comfortably here. So let me swing back here so you can kind of see very similar. And then let me show you this example here. If you can see here, so this room that we've taken over, this is a huge built-in wardrobe. It's massive, it's good space. The door, you can see, opens onto the wall. So if we go back to ours, you can see we knocked down this wall, and there was actually a chimney stack here which we had to remove as well. And you can see where our door is, the wall would have been here, i.e. that cupboard space. This allowed our room to be, and this was our client's room, the correct size. So last month, or last couple of weeks, I've gone in there. That room is 6 square meters, or just over 6 square meters, not including this cupboard space here. Obviously, we did that, and it passed. So I've had to tell this landlord, you've got the license for it, but the council sort of adapt and they learn as they go along, because they're not property investors and they haven't, I don't know, been trained in that aspect, so to speak. So maybe the previous HMO officer didn't have a massive amount of knowledge in it because there wasn't a national licensing scheme in place at that time when this license came into force, if that makes sense. So he's learnt as he's adapted. I just said to the client, I'd be just very careful on the next time, once your 5-year license runs out, whether they'll come in and they'll say this room is too small and they'll have to knock that wall through and into that cupboard space, just like we did here. So behind it you've got 4-drawer chest of drawers, double, and an extra space as well. Because actually this space here, that outside of the room, there's a cupboard space as well, which is what we had. So we completely used up that whole entire space. So be very, very careful on your standards, your room sizes. What else? This is a little bit boring, and your agent, as long as they're good, should know all of this and be doing this anyway. But if you're self-managing, you do need to be a fit and proper person. You need to make sure your basic stuff, the supply and maintain gas and electricity. You need to have the utilities running all of the time, heating, all that sort of stuff. Management notice board. You do need to have the landlord's name and contact details displayed on a notice board. Whether you're self-managing, it'll be the landlord's name, or if you're managing, it'll be the agent's name. It needs to be in a prominent position in a sort of communal area. So we put up our contact details, like it says. We also put up our fire safety test records. Every time I do a fire alarm test, I log it at the property. We also have a fire evacuation policy procedure. And the fourth thing we have is the HMO license up in all of our properties. As a minimum, we like to keep it clean. You could put up the gas cert, your EPC, your electrical installation condition report, but I think it kind of looks a bit messy, so you kind of keep it clean. Tenants, all our tenants have been sent that, signed to say that they've read and received it and all that sort of stuff. So yes, and then you just need to ensure that you're doing all of these things. These are all licensing requirements, and this is it: the HHSRS, the Housing, Health and Safety Rating System, which is your basics, common thing. There's 20 possible hazards. The council will come in, they'll assess and make sure that everything is fit for standards. So there's no damp, there's no mould, the electricity is safe, i.e. the electrical installation condition report's been done, and all that good stuff. So essentially that is a quick rundown of what you need to be aware of when you're starting your refurb, before you're doing your refurbishment of your HMO, what standards you need, what sizes, room sizes, how much amenities you need per person that are going in, enough kitchen space, and all that good stuff. So that is your legal compliance side and quick overview on what you need to do for HMOs. Your design and colour schemes, palettes, what furniture you're going into is a complete different ball game. Maybe we'll do a separate video if anyone asks another time, but that's a whole different skill set, which is one that I do not possess, and that is all down to Alicia, who does all that side of it. But yeah, I hope you found that interesting and useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave us a comment down below if you've got any questions on that. And thanks for watching. I will see you next time.